A skydiving accident kills 2 in Marston's Mills. 3 members of the Barnstable Police Department will be promoted to sergeant, and the Department of Public Works is prepping for the FY16 budget. These stories on this episode of Barnstable Today. It's Tuesday, September 30th, 2014. I'm Sarah Mannell. Two men are dead following a tragic skydiving accident in Marston's Mills Sunday. Police Chief Paul McDonald says the skydiving company Skydive Barnstable has been operating in Marston's Mills for several years.
There's been virtually no incidents. However, this past Sunday there was an unfortunate incident. We got the call at approximately 5:30, 5:25 that evening regarding a couple of skydivers. The way it originally came into us is that the divers appeared to be descending at a far too great of a speed. We immediately responded with the rescue squad, and 2 individuals were found across the street. Apparently, when they come down, the chute only partially opened. They hit a garage and it came to the ground.
McDonald says while the investigation is not yet complete, it appears there was a malfunction of some sort during the dive.
There were a couple of camcorders. Both divers were in camcorders. Once we arrived there, we located one of them. It was still recording. That has all been turned over to Mass State Police, so they are looking at that. I'm sure that will reveal all kinds of different information. We do not suspect anything right now except for probably equipment malfunction.
McDonald said Sunday's tragic jump was the last scheduled jump for the season.
It was the last day of operation for the season, and that was the last jump of the season. The individual, the instructor and the trainee, this was his first time jumping. They were attached together. They were coming down, and just a terribly unfortunate incident.
And we will keep you up to date with any developments on this story. Police promotions are set for this week. Chief of Police Paul McDonald says 3 members of the department are receiving the rank of sergeant.
The process has been concluded. Last part of the process was to meet with the town manager. The swearing-in ceremony is tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock here at the PD. And there are 3 individuals. It was Patrolman Gene Chalice, Detective Jason Laber, and Detective John York, all being promoted to the rank of sergeant. The process is we are a civil service community. Once you have a minimum of a year in the job, you are eligible to take a promotional test for sergeant. It's a statewide test. It's given to all civil service municipalities. And right now in the Commonwealth, there's about 249 civil service communities. Once they take the test, they go on to a list, and you're on the list according to your score. Then we have our own process internally. The first thing you do is you fill out a promotional profile. You then have an oral board scenario where 3 chiefs from outside the department come in and perform the oral boards. Then you meet with the chief of police, then you meet with the town manager, and a decision is made. All 3 of these officers have a great deal of experience. Sergeant York has over 25 years of experience. Sergeant Laber has over 18 years of experience, and Sergeant Chalice has almost 15 years of experience. So these are all seasoned veteran officers.
Chief McDonald says the sergeant is one of the most important roles in any police department.
The police officer's job, the patrol officer, the uniformed patrol officer, his job is actually to go out there and patrol the town of Barnstable, provide the policing service to the town. The sergeant's job, his primary function, his job is to ensure that the town is being policed. His job is to ensure that the patrol officers are actually doing their job. That is one of the most important jobs in the organization.
Chief McDonald says the creation of a new unit made room for 1 additional sergeant.
Our authorized strength is 115 sworn officers, and we currently have 16 sergeants. In the past, we've had 15 sergeants. We are increasing the number of sergeants by 1, and that's primarily because of the new unit we created, the Community Impact Unit. Right now, there are 3 patrol officers assigned to that. They come under the command of a lieutenant. We think it'd be a smoother operation if we add a sergeant to that unit. So we're increasing the ranks from 15 up to 16 sergeants.
The department will celebrate those promotions in a ceremony tomorrow. Police arrest a Hyannis man Sunday night. Chief McDonald says officers responded to a Hyannis apartment building after the man fell from a 2.5-story deck.
What happened, Taylor Johnson was arrested. Mr. Johnson was drinking all day, all night at 71 Spring Street with his fiancée. They got into a verbal domestic. She left. and she went to stay with some friends at 519 Main Street. Mr. Johnson then went down there to try to convince her to come back with him. An argument ensued on the back deck. He started ripping the deck apart, throwing the furniture off the balcony. He actually ripped a part of the railing off. When the tenants came out to confront him, they had an altercation. Mr. Johnson tried to throw one individual off the deck. He slipped and fell, and they both went to the ground 2.5 stories down. Mr. Johnson, fortunately for him, landed on top of the other individual. He was able to get up and run from the scene. We subsequently arrested him a short time later.
Johnson was released with orders to stay away from the victim and will be back in court for a pretrial hearing October 27th. The Department of Public Works is already getting set for the FY16 budget. Director Dan Santos says the first step is to put together the capital budget.
And it really is for Public Works, as you can imagine, being the department that implements most of the capital projects and budget, a year-round activity to plan properly for the next year's work and the out years. I mean, we can't just go year to year. We got to be thinking about what we're doing in 3 years and 5 years to properly staff what we have to do and make sure that we don't get overwhelmed, because there's an awful lot of work to do. So we constantly gauge within the engineering department and highway and structures and grounds, working with the town architect, kind of the status of our facilities. And we have a staff meeting every Tuesday morning, and we talk about what are the issues that are out there and what kind of problems are we seeing surface. And from those regular discussions and meetings, projects come to light and they start to germinate. And so we'll kind of make a list of those things. And then this time of year, we start meeting more specifically on the projects and planning. And those lists come out, and then we start, putting everything down. Like, what are all the possible projects that we need funding, particularly in the capital realm. And then we also include community services is one of the departments that we do, pretty much all of their capital work. So we do the same thing with them. We start meeting with them and asking them, what's your wish list? What do you need? What's important? And we start big, and then we start refining those lists down to what ultimately becomes the list of projects that we submit.
Santos says road repairs are a top priority in that budget.
So we're honing our list of what roads we want to think about for the coming years, and one of the ones we've been talking a lot about is Route 132 from like Bierce's Way all the way up to the Rotary. That's a section of road it's getting tired, and it's going to need some attention. Another road section that we're looking at doing some significant work on is the east end of Main Street. The Growth Management Department, working with businesses and residents in that area, did some visioning, and so there's some projects there that we might undertake. And we haven't designed it yet, but there are problems that came up, and one of the ones that we hear about all the time is that intersection at Pleasant Street when the boat lets out. I mean, it gets very congested there. You can't see, and so we're trying to look at ways to solve that problem. So that's one of the projects. In Barnstable Village, there was some visioning done there, and there's some improvements being suggested as far as some decorative lighting like we have on Bursa's Way here in Hyannis, and some new crosswalks. So those are a couple of the capital projects we've been talking about.
Santos says the department will continue to work hard prepping for the budget over the next several months. Well, be sure to tune in to our hour-long news program Barnstable this morning, weekdays at 7 a.m. On tomorrow's program, we will chat with Elizabeth Werfbane, the Executive Director of the Main Street Business Improvement District. We'll also chat with Finance Director Mark Milne. Plus, we'll have all the news and information you need. For Barnstable Today, I'm Sarah Mannel.